You know, one of the things that's clear is that certain offices have certain information. At our institution, for example, the financial conflict of interest does sit within a research office, but the outside activities doesn't. So what's happened is that we haven't been able, we refer to as connecting the dots. We haven't connected the dots of where everything is to be able to make sure that when we are submitting a proposal, that that proposal has the proper disclosures. You have an example?
Yeah, so one of the first things that we did after the Lauer letter was identify the risks of the institution and really, looked out where all are the dots, where are the gaps, and where are the risks. So the first thing that we did is we decided, let's talk to our individual faculty members that are traveling extensively to countries of concern. And so we just took the travel data and travel authorizations, even if they were paid or unpaid, made a list, and it just said, let's go interview the top 10 from this list. And it was very illuminating in terms of their perspective of what they were doing in those countries, for what reasons, whether they were being paid or reimbursed personally, which was another risk that we identified, in that they may receive envelopes of cash to reimburse them for their travel. It's not through the university. And if this is in excess of the expenses that they incur, that could be additional outside income, and that triggers another policy requirement. And so and then the other thing that we identified was a faculty member that was part of the 1,000 Talents program, just through these interviews. And in that, we found a gap because that some of those activities were incurred in the summer. And then we had an issue of, well, in the summer, are they still our employees where they're not paid through the institution? And so we identified our basically other policies that we needed to strengthen to help mitigate those risks, to ensure that the disclosures are clear and those requirements are clear.
So, and the only other thing I'd add to that is, one of the issues is how do you figure out who are the riskiest faculty? And I think one of the things that gets talked about is how do we know if someone gets reimbursed and it doesn't go through the institution? That's really hard to find. But the other is getting the data together and working with our IT department to get the disparate pieces of data all in one place. And it's a challenge. Because without that data, I mean, we're not going to be able to talk to every faculty member. We've got to identify which are the ones that we do want to talk to.
And one other, I think, good example that we identified, just a risk area, were gifts that were made to individuals' research. And then we weren't necessarily asking questions where should there be concern with why that gift is being given. How did they identify our faculty members? Sometimes it's just their publications and then said, oh, we're interested in this. Well, is there an expectation to just provide some summary of how the research is going, or a visit down the road from that donor to the lab? And so now we have a form and a process to help mitigate those risks, even for gifts that come to our institution. And I'll just say, to reiterate Sarah's point, it is critical to connect the dots of conflict of commitment with your research COI. And those are two different policies at my institution and two different offices.
They go to two different offices, right?
Yes, right. But connecting those is critical to really get a better handle on where the federal government's going on disclosure and transparency.